Still at the edge of tears, just at the thought of you.
It's called A Delightful Singer-Songwriter with a Memorable Story to Tell. Clara Bellino emerged from France to become an important contributor to the American music scene. Her latest CD, This Is Happiness, Hand in Hand, not only features her newest song, This Is Happiness, and a memorable duet with the legendary Bobby Shart, best known for Unchain My Heart, but also 2 videos and a documentary. Clara Bellino was born in Paris, France, spent 2 years in the United States, starting when she was 5. Grew up in a small village in the French Alps. I always loved music and wrote lyrics early on. When I was 7, I entered a conservatory, singing in a choir, studying classical piano for 10 years and classical guitar for 5. I also took a couple of years of jazz piano. Music brought me to the United States. I wanted to perform my own music, and in France I felt as if I was stuck. The choices were to become a pop variety artist who had to have a hit in order to get on television or play classical or jazz. I felt that there were a lot more options to grow in music in the U.S.
There is no ocean under the sun. No sky beneath the ground. There was no moon inside your tears. No sun under the covers.
Let's talk a little bit about because you're a singer-songwriter, and my show is a singer-songwriter anthology.
Yeah.
And all the tunes that I play are all written and performed by the original artist. Can you talk a little bit about your singer-songwriter process?
My singer-songwriter process. Well, I can take as for an example, like This Is Happiness, the track we just heard. It kind of started, I was in France in a small village where my brother and his wife have a farm. They live in Paris, but they like to get away from the noise, and they bought a farm in this village where there's 4 people live. It's a really small village.
Yeah.
And so I was there one day, got to visit them, and I was thinking, wow, you know, if I had more money or whatever, I would probably buy a little farm in this village and put a studio in it, you know. And so I was thinking about the different levels of success, and my little nephew grabbed my hand, and we were invited to the 4 people who lived there to their house on it was a January 4th to have some pie and some wine, and while I was there, this old man started talking about what happiness meant to him.
Oh.
And I was just listening to him. Everything that fell out of his mouth was like, oh my God, that is like, I just, you know, I went home and I jotted things down because I was thinking, you know, I've been thinking about success, but this is what matters, you know.
Yeah, it's amazing sometimes what elderly people can say. They
Yeah.
can be very prolific with all the years that they've mapped on Earth. And
Yes.
yeah.
And so that's how that song was born. And then for me, songwriting, you know,
okay.
there's I mean, they can start with dreams or observations, and then of course you pad it a little bit with padded it with other things that mean happiness to me. There's a reference to a girlfriend of mine who beat leukemia, and that was happiness. And so the songwriting process is, you know, I think as a songwriter, I always embellish the initial story, but there's always like a kernel
of something that happens that hits you that flowers into a song, I guess.
Yeah, where I'm like, this is kind of something that I know I'm not the only one who's thought about, and it's, you know, it can reach people because.
And then the lyrics come first, and then, or not necessarily, and then the music you add the music on later? Or?
For me, they mostly do. The lyrics come first. Like if I know what I want to say, and if I'm happy with what I'm saying, I barely even have to write the music, because then there's a rhythm to the lyrics, and there's a mood to the song, there's the rhythm to the lyrics, and there's almost the melody is there. So if I have a strong lyric that I'm happy with, I can, you know, the rest kind of falls into place. I mean, with some work, but that's what it's based on for me.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. Well, who are your main influences? I always like to ask artists that. Who's really, really, really influenced you? I mean, from your youth up to now to make you who you are now. I mean, who really?
I have a lot of influences, I'd say, because my parents, my dad especially, was an avid collector, especially when we lived in the States, but always of music. And so, if I think of who my biggest idol was when I was like had an idol, David Bowie was like my.
David Bowie.
Yeah, I mean, when I was a preteen, I thought he should really meet me.
Wow, what a deal. Okay. Well, we all have those kind of fantasies like that. That's great, and you never know. Sometimes they can actually happen.
I
so.
almost did, but meet him. But no, I really like David Bowie. But aside from that, you know, my dad used to play a lot. My dad loves jazz, and he loves a lot of things. So we used to listen to a lot of stuff: Coltrane, Mahalia Jackson, Miles Davis, and you know, all the way through Zappa, and the Beatles, and Joan Baez, and all kinds of, you know, and then some British music. I listened to a lot of Leonard Cohen too.
Well, Leonard Cohen's wonderful.
Yeah, I love Leonard Cohen as well. And it was funny, a few years ago some producer said, "You're the female Leonard Cohen," and I was like, "What?" And then I realized I used to put myself to sleep with his records, so he heard something.
Yeah, so he got in there.
Yeah.
I was thinking about success, all I could do if I had more. This old man spoke about happiness and simple joys, but he said I crossed the village to meet the neighbors. We ate the pie and drank the wine from dusty bottles, and he said this is happiness. It's what makes the world go round. Ba, 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 da, ba.
We also have the final CD release party is going to be September 22nd in Oakland at a house concert, fabulous house concert place called Avo Nova.
Okay.
And so we're going to do a full band release.
When's that coming up?
That's September 22nd.
Okay.
It's a while away, but it's with a full band with all these fabulous musicians I mentioned earlier. And you know, to find out more, you can sign on to my mailing list, which is called The Loving Bunch. It's off of my website, clarabellino.com.
Okay.
And in the newsletter, which I send out about every couple weeks, you'll find out about the different releases that are coming up. Because I'm starting to work on a new project already. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's been fantastic. It's been great having you in the studio and playing all your wonderful music.
Thank you to you, Jerry, for finding me and having me and my assistant friend Melissa and I had such a blast driving up here. It was a little road trip for us. It was like a mini vacation, so we're just thrilled to meet you and be here. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, I'm very honored to have you.